Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Epic Gangsta Tales. Today we're going to be focusing on the Boston Gangland series, and boy do we have a shockingly sad and treacherous story we're going to get into today. Today's episode focuses on a Boston public school student by the name of Louis Rodriguez, and someone who is supposed to be a voice for kids of all types and of all backgrounds. Someone supposed to help you make smart decisions that will impact your life and your future respectively. Today's episode will highlight what happens when disgusting scumbags slip into a position of power and go unchecked. That person being Sean Harrison, now 63 years old. Harrison was an academic dean/guidance counselor at English High School in Boston, which is coincidentally the same school that Louis Rodriguez went to. Now, on the surface, you would think Sean Harrison was a savior for the lost and misguided kids. He was an activist who spoke out against gang violence and drugs and worked closely with Boston public schools and their partners to help mentor troubled kids that come from broken homes. But as you will see, he was anything but a voice for troubled kids and a community activist. Louis Rodriguez has a similar backstory to a lot of us. A young kid who comes from a household that has been affected by drugs and a lack of a strong role model to set an example for him. So at 17 years old, Louis Rodriguez was vulnerable. Now, Sean Harrison, along with being an anti-violence advocate and a youth minister known to his students as Rev for his pastor-like demeanor, was a wolf in sheep's clothing who lived a double life. He put on his charm and channeled his inner Mr. Rogers act when he was around his colleagues and other non-gang affiliated students. But when he was around the students who came from broken homes or had ties to street gangs, he would boast about being a Latin King gang member. And the students, like Louis Rodriguez, ate it all up. You know, I'm sure Harrison played it off cool at first with war stories and the promise of easy money, and the power of numbers, i.e. being in a gang, was very enticing to Harrison students, especially being able to belong to something when you don't get love or all the things that kids yearn to get from their family. You eventually look for it elsewhere, and Harrison preyed on that. So being young and naive, Louis Rodriguez and a few other students fell for the rat trap and became Latin King gang members under their dean/gang leader, Sean Harrison. The tales that Harrison used to lure in vulnerable students included selling drugs and guns and power, all very enticing to young kids. So it will come as no surprise that Harrison started giving his students and newly recruited Latin King gang members pounds of marijuana and small amounts of crack cocaine to sell mostly for the benefit of gang leader Sean Harrison. And at first, everything seemed to be on the up and up for 17-year-old Louis Rodriguez. He went from being broke and neglected and not really being able to control the things going on around him to the fast and easy money that comes from selling drugs. You know, and it's intoxicating. And not to mention, Sean Harrison was in a position of power, and young kids would be sold on the pipe dream that their academic dean/guidance counselor was the answer to all of their problems. Someone in a position of power who would pretend to care about them and their future. It's really a sickening story, you know, which highlights what happens when scumbags slip through the cracks and into a position of power and authority. Now, initially, things were going exactly the way gang leader Sean Harrison said they would. Louis Rodriguez was making money and getting what he thought was love and support, which every kid wants and needs, essentially, you know. But in all actuality, it was a con. And Dean Sean Harrison was a hell of a con man. And Louis Rodriguez fell for the trap. Now, if you thought this story couldn't get any worse, you are mistaken, you know. After initial success with dealing drugs for Sean Harrison, Louis Rodriguez, whether tired of playing Harrison's game or just being a lazy kid, his drug sales hit a major slump, and Rodriguez and Harrison had a dispute and a falling out over it. So on a cold, snowy night in Roxbury back in 2015, Harrison told Rodriguez that they needed to meet up, and Harrison promised to bring more drugs for Rodriguez to sell, and promised he would wipe the slate clean about his prior slumping drug sales. And he said after that, he would even take Rodriguez to a spot where the two of them could chill and hang with some pretty women. And put all of this behind us. You know what I mean? So trusting Sean Harrison's word, he went to meet up with him where the two men would be walking and talking on a Roxbury street. Suddenly, without warning, Sean Harrison would slow his walk just a bit so that 17-year-old Louis Rodriguez was a step in front of Harrison. At that point, he would pull out a .380 caliber pistol and shoot Louis Rodriguez in the back of his head, and then would run off as Rodriguez would collapse onto a snowbank, being left for dead by his dean/gang leader, Sean Harrison. Except Louis Rodriguez wasn't dead. The tough-as-nails 17-year-old kid would pick himself up, bullet to the head and all. He would pick himself up and flag down a car, ultimately making it to a hospital where he would be treated for the gunshot wound to his head. And he would tell the Boston police the shockingly true story of how he ended up in his hospital bed. You know, and police would arrest Sean Harrison, and a brave Louis Rodriguez would later testify against Harrison, and ultimately Sean Harrison was convicted and given a 26-year prison sentence. You know, just a crazy story. I remember reading this when it came out. You know, I read the paper, you know, I'm from the area. Just a crazy story of how the wrong person can slip into, you know, the right spot and you know, wantonly just choose to just be evil and manipulate, you know, young kids that are vulnerable, you know, to do their bidding for them. It's just disgusting. But Louis Rodriguez is alive, and Sean Harrison is right where he belongs, in a prison cell for 26 years. But anyways, this has been another episode of Epic Gangsta Tales. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, maybe learned a thing or two if there's any young kids out there watching this. You know, be your own man. You know, don't wait till catastrophe strikes to you know, smarten up and start making the right decisions like a lot of us do. You know, there's a lot out there at your disposal. People, places, things. Use them all, you know, and be careful who you put your trust in, and be careful who you let into your life, because you never know what's lying beneath. But anyways, please like, comment, share, and most importantly, guys, subscribe. It makes a huge difference and allows me and our channel to do a whole bunch of different things. And I'd like to say thank you guys for rocking with the channel. Subscribers are climbing by the day. Views are going up by the video. And yeah, man, thank you guys for rocking with the channel. I appreciate you all. I hope you guys all have a good week and had a good weekend. Take care.